Though his name may not be instantly familiar to everyone, as the co-founder, co-songwriter and keyboard player of the rock group Supertramp, the music of Rick Davies was known and loved by millions across the globe. Rick Davies was the earthier counterpoint to his writing partner Roger Hodgson. While Supertramp successfully managed to bridge the gap between progressive rock complexity and pure, irresistible pop, it was Rick's grittier tones and piano work that anchored their sound. His was the distinct voice on tracks such as Crime of the Century and Goodbye Stranger. The creative tension between Rick Davies and Roger Hodgson was, as they themselves admitted, the fuel that powered Supertramp. The contrast between Davies' jazzy, more soulful approach and Hodgson's preference for celestial melody gave the band a unique identity. This dynamic propelled them to global stardom, first with the acclaimed album Crime of the Century, but truly conquering the world with the international smash hit Breakfast in America in 1979, which sold over 20 million copies. Even after their acrimonious split, Rick Davies remained dedicated to the legacy of the band he co-founded, continuing to lead Supertramp for many years. Rick Davies' legacy is woven into the fabric of 70s and 80s rock. He was a talented musician, a sharp lyricist, and the anchor of one of Britain's most successful bands. In the frantic, trailblazing days of the mid-60s British music scene, there was one drummer whose sheer, unbridled chaos became the stuff of legend: Viv Prince. Best known for his explosive, all too brief tenure with the Pretty Things, Viv wasn't just a musician, he was an untamed force of nature whose antics helped define the image of the wild rock and roll star. Viv Prince brought a style to the drum kit that was completely unorthodox. Before joining the Pretty Things, he had already built a reputation as a highly skilled session musician, having moved from jazz bands to contributing to pop records. Yet his approach to drumming transcended mere professionalism. It was pure entertainment, fueled by a restless energy that often saw him abandon his kit to rampage around the stage, turning every gig into a chaotic circus. His behaviour was not just confined to the stage, it earned the band constant sensational headlines. Stories of his escapades, from carrying a dead crayfish on a string during a notorious tour of New Zealand to starting fires on stage, are now the material of rock folklore. Such was his notoriety that a young Keith Moon attended Pretty Things gigs specifically to study Viv's unhinged extrovert style. Despite lasting barely 18 months with the Pretty Things, the group simply unable to handle his unreliability and growing infamy, Prince's legacy extended far beyond his time with the band. His spirit of reckless abandon and showmanship influenced a generation of rock drummers. Even in later life, living quietly in Portugal, he remained the wild heart of that unforgettable era. Viv Prince may have only played on 2 of the band's albums, but he was instrumental in establishing the Pretty Things as one of the most exciting bands around. For many years the face of the BBC's evening weather forecast, Wynne brought a calm authority and an engaging style to his reports. Jay was a fixture on programmes such as the BBC's News at 10, where his gentle clarity made even the most complex weather systems accessible to millions of viewers. His dedication to accuracy and understanding was a hallmark of his career. Colleagues have universally praised Jay as a brilliant broadcaster and a truly lovely bloke with a sharp sense of humour. The 1980s synth pop scene was an explosion of creativity, and right at the forefront were Blancmange, a duo whose idiosyncratic sound and melodic brilliance secured their place in pop history. At the heart of that sound was Stephen Luscombe, a talented musician and synthesizer enthusiast whose collaboration with Neil Arthur became one of the decade's most distinctive partnerships. The combination of Luscombe's skilled keyboard work and Arthur's distinct vocals proved potent. After a grounding in the experimental scene, they had a breakthrough moment with their inclusion on the pivotal Some Bizarre album, which placed them alongside future synth-pop heavyweights like Depeche Mode and Soft Cell. Their big hit soon followed with the infectious Living on the Ceiling, which stormed the UK top 10 and showcased their knack for mixing dance floor hooks with subtle world music-inspired touches. The success continued with hits like Blind Vision and Don't Tell Me, ensuring their second album, Monge 2, was a commercial smash. Even their melancholic cover of ABBA's The Day Before You Came became a memorable hit, securing a rare stamp of approval from the Swedish superstars themselves. Although health issues prevented him from fully participating in later Blancmange reunions, his influence remained central. In the golden age of British film and television, the work of the character actor was the bedrock of every production. Stanley Meadows was one such stalwart, a familiar and dependable presence whose face guaranteed authenticity and depth in every role he played. Through the 1960s and 70s, Stanley became a fixture in the rich tapestry of British television drama, featuring in classics such as Public Eye, The Avengers, Randall and Hopkirk Deceased, and The Sweeney. He excelled at playing the heavy, the villain, or the world-weary copper, bringing a subtle menace to each part. Stanley Meadows was one of those actors whose quality was undeniable. Though he may have gradually stepped away from the screen in later years, his contribution to the distinct depth of classic British drama remains a vital and much appreciated part of its history. For over half a century, John Stapleton was one of the most familiar and reassuring faces on British television. A consummate professional, he was a journalist who moved effortlessly across the spectrum of broadcasting, from the toughest reporting to the friendliest face on breakfast telly, celebrated for his versatility, good humour and rock-solid professionalism. John began his career in journalism on local newspapers in the Northwest, before making his move into the world of television. He quickly established his credentials in serious current affairs, reporting for the BBC's flagship programmes Nationwide and Newsnight, where his work included reporting from Argentina during the Falklands War. In 1983, John was part of the launch team for the ITV breakfast show TV-AM, before famously returning to the BBC to co-present the consumer champion programme Watchdog. Here, he and his wife, the late Lynn Folds-Wood, became Britain's best-known husband and wife presenting team, pioneering consumer journalism that protected millions of viewers. He later returned to ITV to join GMTV's NewsHour, where he anchored coverage of major global events from the war in Kosovo to Hurricane Katrina. His dedication to serious news in a daytime slot earned him the prestigious Royal Television Society News Presenter of the Year award in 2003. In recent years, John faced his Parkinson's diagnosis with inspiring positivity, challenging himself to learn to sing for charity. His warmth and unwavering grace earned him the deep admiration of his colleagues and the affection of the viewing public. When people talk about the legendary British band the Yardbirds, conversation often turns to the incredible era-defining guitar heroes who passed through its ranks: Eric Clapton, Jeff Beck and Jimmy Page. But the man who provided the stability and continuity for that volatile musical powerhouse was co-founder Chris Dreya. He was the unsung hero, the rhythm guitarist and bassist whose ever-reliable presence made the band's creativity possible. Chris was a co-founder of the group in 1963, helping to anchor their early blues rock sound. While he started on rhythm guitar, his adaptability became crucial. Following the departure of bassist Paul Samuel Smith, Chris seamlessly switched to bass, maintaining the foundational stability of the band even as the lineup continued to shift around him. His contributions went beyond just playing. He co-authored several of the Yardbirds' compositions and even drew the famous cover art for their classic 1966 album Yardbirds, often referred to as Roger the Engineer. When the Yardbirds folded in 1968, Chris chose to step away from the unpredictability of the music business and forge a completely new path. He pursued a successful career as a professional photographer. He even provided the iconic back cover photograph for Led Zeppelin's debut album. Chris later returned to music for the Yardbirds reunion, sharing their legacy with a new generation, an achievement that led to his well-deserved induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1992. Chris Dreya was a man whose quiet stability was indispensable to one of the most influential bands of the 1960s. Among the brilliant ensemble that made Only Fools and Horses a national treasure, Patrick Murray earned an enduring place in the nation's heart as the somewhat dubious wannabe white boy, Mickey Pierce. First introduced in the Series 3 episode Healthy Competition, Mickey quickly carved out his niche, constantly stitching up his old school friend Rodney while bragging about his phantom business triumphs and romantic conquests. Patrick's comedic timing and mischievous charm were impeccable, embodying the spirit of a Del Boy light, always trying to earn a quick quid, but never quite pulling it off. He remained a welcome presence from 1983 right through to the final episode in 2003. What many viewers may not realise is that before stepping into Mickey's Trilby, Patrick had a serious grounding in some of the hardest hitting British drama of the 1970s. As a teenager, he launched his career in television, going on to feature in powerful, era-defining films like The Who's rock opera Quadrophenia, and most notably Alan Clark's searing portrayal of the Borstal system Scum. In the latter, he played the good-natured inmate Dugan, a character that highlighted his ability to bring sincerity to challenging dramatic roles. After stepping away from acting for a time, he worked in different roles, including a period as a taxi driver. Later in life, he faced serious health challenges, but he consistently demonstrated a positive and open attitude throughout his battles. Patrick Murray's legacy is secured through the laughter he brought to millions across 2 decades. He created a memorable character who became a cherished part of British comedy history, and for that, he will be remembered with immense affection.
Magic, down the lot, no problem.
Well, Blitz is your best choice of records and tapes and at super low prices.
James Last, for my mum. The new Genesis tape?
Because that's the same price as the albums, of course.
Elkie Books? Oi, Barry Manilow? Get off. Blondie? Where's the Cliff Richard one? Thanks. Don't I know you?